What's going on, everybody? This is Goofy Rexy here, coming to you with another video. So today's video is actually going to be a little bit different than what I'm usually doing. So obviously, usually I'm doing educational videos on Marvel Strike Force, but today's video is actually a requested video from the community in my Discord as well as on Twitch about a pretty much basically a quick beginner's guide on how to set up your OBS settings. So obviously, right, going through starting streaming, starting content creating, it can be a little bit daunting and intimidating. So I just wanted to make sure that I was doing my due diligence here, making sure that I came out with this video. So today we're actually just going to be talking about your basic beginner's guide of how to set up your streams. Obviously in the back here you can see I have kind of, this is what my OBS Studios normally looks like in the background. So we're actually going to go to a completely blank canvas and we're going to work it and get it prepared for a stream. And then we're going to be talking about kind of like your basic settings. What are the best settings for OBS? Whether it is you're using a fully strong PC or if you're just using kind of like a laptop or something like that too as well. So we're going to be going through that today, guys. So really excited about doing this. Obviously curious to hear what sort of comments and questions that you might have too as well moving forward, or even suggestions that you have too. So thank you guys so much for being here. Let's dive right on into it. Alright guys, so I've resized myself a little bit and put myself forward to the corner, but this will kind of give you more of an idea of what my actual stream usually looks like. So right here, I have my scene set up in Twitch streams. By the way, on Twitch, I do stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if any of these, suggestions or whatever, if you guys have questions about it, you can always catch me on the streams during the weekdays. And I also do have a link to my Discord as well down below. So, and I'm going to be coming out with a few more videos like this too. So, hit the subscribe button so that you guys don't miss a video that I do come out with. But let's so right now, as I said before, I have my Twitch stream and everything set up here. I have my Thor animations. That's a source that I use. I have my Slobs alerts box, which is what I get from Streamlabs. It's an alert box that I use here. I have my emote wall, which is, by the way, is super cool. If you've never seen it in action, it's absolutely dope. Stream Raiders, which is an in-game stream thing that I played, which is actually pretty cool too as well, that I have here. My main overlay, which is what has my sub goal, and what also has a few other features that I have turned off currently right now. My socials, which is what's flashing. Event list over here, which is once again something that I took from Streamlabs, which I'll talk about later on in another video about how to get Streamlabs alerts into OBS. I'll talk a little bit about that too as well later. And then my camera source. So my camera source is usually right here, but obviously I'm using my camera in a different different software program right now, so it's not going to show up here on this OBS screen. And then of course my main screen, which I normally is actually turned off right now. This is my main screen right here, which is actually taking a picture of my display, which obviously, as you can see, is me using Streamlabs in the background. So we're going to go through how to kind of just add things. I'm going to change a profile here over to my Teach stream, and I'm going to change my selection over here to a beginner's guide. So I've already gone ahead and I've created this. So first thing, obviously, I'm hoping that you've already downloaded OBS software. If you downloaded OBS software, then if you haven't downloaded it, then you're going to go to a screen where it's going to go through a auto kind of configuration thing, where it's going to configure pretty much what's going to be best for your PC, and based on your internet, what is the best settings that you can use. But we'll talk about settings in a little bit. So first and foremost, let's talk about how you can add sources so that you can actually start streaming. So the first source that you're going to want to add, we're going to get rid of this here. So the first source that you're going to want to add is your audio. So right now I have them set up. I've changed it. So before you actually add any audio, this is blank. This is usually blank right here. When you go into your settings and you go into audio, you can then select where your audio comes from. So right now, desktop audio, and if you don't know exactly where your desktop audio is coming from, you can actually come right down here. You guys probably can't see it. I'll move this so that you guys can see it now. So you come down here, you right click on that sound button, and you hit the open sound settings button. And when you open sound settings, you can go over to sound control panel. When you go to the sound control panel, you will see exactly where your sound is coming from. So this right over here, you'll see exactly where your sound is coming from. So right now I know that my sound is coming from my speakers, my NVIDIA RTX, which is a software that I use to optimize all of my sound. So right now that's where even though it's coming through speakers, I'm actually have it optimized through NVIDIA RTX. So I know that now when I go back into my OBS Studio that I can actually click on speakers, NVIDIA RTX, because that's where my actual sound is coming from. That's where all my music, that's where, you know, the game is coming from. That's where that's the game sound. That's where everything is coming from, you know, right on in there. Then same as well, I do have my mic and everything optimized through my NVIDIA RTX voice. So I'm actually going to click on this here too as well. Usually it's for you, it might be like your headphones, or it might be another mic that you're using. It will pop up here. But once again, because I do have, I am using the Blue Yeti or a Yeti stereo microphone, but it's being optimized through NVIDIA RTX right now. So I'm going to click on RTX and I'm going to apply that sound. When I apply it and I hit, if I hit OK, then it will pop up here. But really quick, I wanted to show you this. You might want to change the sample rate as well here to 48. 48 is typically what is being used now. You know, it's more of an up-to-date feature. So you're probably going to want to click on 48, you know, KHZ here. That's probably going to be a much better kind of sort of visual for you for you to use that. So, or not visual, but it's more up-to-date audio. So you want to click on 48 kHz here. If I'm gonna unclick it, because if I do, it's gonna ask me to restart. So for right now, I'm not gonna do that. So once I do that, I come over here, you see the audio mixer. You're gonna want to take this desktop audio all the way down, because you don't want that audio to be more than your voice. The voice that your audible voice. You don't want it to be more than that audible voice. So therefore, you want to take that down just a little bit. And then with the mic, you don't want it to stay in that red area. So I'm going to take this down just enough so that it's not peeking over to the right side of the red. I just want to take that down just enough so that it's not too loud, but it's loud enough so that people can hear me over the music or whatever game is going on in the background. Good, right? So, all right, so the next thing that we're going to want to add here is we're going to want to come over to sources. We're going to hit that plus button, and then we're going to want to go and we're going to want to add our video, our camera, right? So I have my camera right now. Fair warning, you're not going to see this actual camera being added as I showed you before. I did have my camera set up on my initial, setup, but obviously because I'm using it in a different software right now, I'm not going to be able to get that camera there. But to add it, I'm just going to show you how you do it. So you go over to video capture device. You click on, I'm just going to leave it at video capture device for now. You can change it to webcam or whatever. I'm going to click on video capture device, and the device that pops up is my C922 ProStream webcam, which is my Logitech webcam. I'll click on that. You can come in here and you can do some other tech stuff like configure the video or whatever, and change your white balance, like things like that is normally what I do for my green screen, which I'll come up with videos about that in the future too as well, about, things like green screen setup and how to make that look optimal too as well, how to, adjust your lighting so that it comes out and looks correct, but we're not going to do that right now. So you would come here, you'll do that. You can hit the default settings, or you can change it to custom, where you can change your resolution. I usually go to 1920 over 1080. I then go to highest FPS. Video format, I do MJPEG. Color, I do 709. Color range, I do partial. That's just me. Like I just kind of play with a few of those different things just to make it work for myself, and I hit OK. And usually, like I said, the camera source will then pop up on the screen. Then you have to resize it. But because I'm using the camera in a different video right now, it's not going to pop up. But as you saw in the very beginning of the video, that's normally where I normally put my camera. The next thing is how you're going to add your game, right? So once again, you come here and you add it. There's different ways for you to do it. You can do a display capture. If you do a display capture, it's just going to capture whatever the other screen is. So I'll just show you my display capture right now, which is what's popping up as the OBS screen, which is giving you this like OBSception thing. But I can also switch it over to this screen, which is actually where I'm doing my recording right now. And that's what will pop up. And then you'll see that scene kind of just pull up right here. You can also add it is a window capture tool as well, which is actually less straining, I believe, by other than doing just like a display capture. A window capture actually works a little bit better. So right now I'll add window capture and I'll call this like BlueStacks, which is the game. This is the gaming software that I use. I'll change that to BlueStacks, and then you'll see my BlueStacks here. Window capture is pretty cool because if you're doing your display capture, anything that you're doing on that display is going to pop up. But if you actually just do a window capture, then if you and as you can see, it's coming over my display capture, right? Because it's above this right here. So if you wanted to change that, you can always move that down and it will be behind that, or vice versa. So it's up to you however you want to change it. But I like this window capture because with window capture, once I put this all the way up on the screen, and you can go to transform and you can fit this to screen. Once you do that, then you can kind of in the display, you can look up something on the internet or whatever it is that you're doing in the background, and it won't show over that display, over that window capture. So it's kind of cool to use window capture just because you can kind of separate things that way and people can't see what you're doing. The other recommended one too is also you can add different things like browser source if you want to add. That's how I normally add my alerts, to my OBS too. Or you can add things like media source. A media source, when you saw with my Thor animation that you see down here, it's over to the right of the screen, that's actually a media source that I'm using right there. You can add text, you can add different scenes. The camera display that you saw in the very beginning of the video is actually a camera scene. So you can do different things, and you can add different visuals onto your screen, too as well. So like I said, it's just a basic beginner's guide, of how you can go ahead and add things. You can obviously, resize. So if you wanted to show something on your display and you wanted to just, keep a window down here, let's say that you're playing like another game down below, or you can create another scene where you have the setup this way, where you have like a game capture and then you can have a window capture. It's really kind of up to you how you want to do it, but there's just different ways that you can kind of optimize it and make these things work. So the next thing is that we're going to talk about here is just your settings and how to optimize your settings. So right now, in the general tab, there's really nothing that you really want to change here, to be honest with you. You're ultimately fine, with everything left at the default setting. The only thing that I would change here is the theme normally is on system. The only thing that I would do is that I would change this to dark or default or whichever other one, anything other than the system settings, because that thing is really bright and hurts my eyes. So please don't be the person that does that. It's not cool to yourself. Don't hurt yourself that way. And then, moving on, we'll come over to the stream settings here. I changed this from simple to advanced just so that I can optimize things just a little bit differently. So when it comes to your streaming tab, which is pretty much what we're really covering here, you're gonna want to stream first. We should have went to stream. So stream is where you select your service, where you're actually gonna be doing your streams from, if it's Twitch, if it's Facebook Gaming, YouTube, whatever. And then you normally just connect your account by just signing on into the account. You don't need to get a stream key. Once you sign into the account, it'll grab the stream key and you'll be fine and ready to go. I use Twitch, which is why it's left there right now. So that's typically what I use. When we come down to output, I click on the advanced tab and then I come down here. Encoder is very, very important. It's very important for encoder because encoder is essentially how it pretty much takes what your recording is, whether it's a stream or a video, whatever your streaming platform is, it encodes it with this encoder and then pushes it out to that platform. So if you are someone that has an NVIDIA graphics card, let's say like a 10 series or 20 series or the new 30 series that they're coming out with, then you're going to want to click on NVIDIA NVENC 264. Reason being, you're going to want, NVIDIA uses a GPU which takes away from using your CPU which is going to be less straining on your PC or laptop or whatever it is that you use. So if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, click on the encoder to be NVIDIA NVENC. That's going to be a much better option, a much better way for you to go. So I will click on the NVIDIA NVENC card because it's going to be less strenuous on your PC. So that's the best option for you to use. I would uncheck this enforce streaming service encoder settings. You don't want to enforce whatever settings that Twitch uses or YouTube uses. You want to make sure that whatever your settings are that you set, that it's actually using those. So I would uncheck that box. And on the encoder again too, if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, then obviously you're going to need to use the 264. Obviously having an NVIDIA graphics card is better because, like I said, it's less strenuous on your PC. Otherwise, you're going to be using, if you have like an Intel or AMD processor, it's going to be using, whatever it is that the Intel or the AMD is. It's going to be using that instead of the NVENC. So make sure that you're using the NVENC. It's much better for you. When you're coming down here with your rate control CBR, the best one that I've found so far is 6,000. Actually, in general, you don't want to go above 6,000. Because let's say like a platform like Twitch actually throttles things down, and if you use it doesn't like when you use anything over 6,000. So in general, I would actually leave it at 6,000 or less. That would be my recommendation. I would then change key interval to 2, and then preset. This is another one too as well. Preset is a little complex because it's going to be based on your PC and what your PC can handle. So I would say if you have like a 20 series NVIDIA graphics card, max quality is going to probably be fine for you. If it's not, then you can come down to like quality, or if you have like a 10 series, then I will go down to quality, or even if it's still not even doing well, like if you're still getting warning signs, then bring it back down to performance. So you're gonna have to kind of like check it out, see which one works for you. So this might be a little bit of a trial and error. Profile I'll leave as high, and then I'll select look ahead, and then leave psycho visual training on 0, and then leave those at 2. Audio settings we've already talked about already. Video settings. So for streaming purposes, and we're talking about specifically Twitch here, I would leave this at 1280 720, just because typically Twitch doesn't really go higher than 720 anyways, and realistically this is actually less strenuous on your PC if you do 720. But if you want to go a little bit higher, I would suggest not going anything above like 1600 by 900. From a pixel standpoint, you're not really going to see much of a difference from 900 than you are going to see with 1080p. It's less pixels, but it's very, very, very minuscule in terms of the difference that you're going to see. So I would leave it at 1600 by 900. That will work fine for you. Like I said, I mean, it's going to be less strenuous on your PC too if you leave it at 1600 by 900. That's typically what works for me. Actually, I used to do 1080, and I used to get some drop frames every now and again, so ever since I've gone down to 1600 by 900, I don't really get any drop frames anymore. So I would actually say 1600 by 900 is pretty good, just because you don't really see much of a difference, and you're also kind of being a little bit nicer to your PC too. And then for this here, I would go to 36 samples, and then for FPS, if you're playing a game like Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, Apex Legends, things like that, I would definitely go with 60. If you're playing a game that doesn't really use that much of a frame rate, then you can always probably go down to like 30. But for the most part, I leave that at 60. And if it doesn't work, if you're getting drop frames again, then you can bring it back down. And then hotkeys, if you're not using like a Stream Deck or anything like that, then you can set up different sort of hotkeys here. One to stop streaming, start streaming, stop streaming, or whatever, and then any sort of advanced settings here. I would leave I would change this to prop to 709. I don't know why it's not letting me do that right now, but I would change that to 709. And then process priority. This is going to be depending on what exactly is going on with your PC. If you're realizing that running OBS is causing your PC to like heat up or whatever, and it's not running efficiently, then maybe you want to change the priority to above normal to actually push all of those resources then to streaming through OBS. That might be a better way to go about it. If not, then I would say maybe go to high, maybe switch it up to high if you're really having some issues. But for the most part, I would not change that. Like I said, I would, you know, move that up to 709. I don't know why it's not showing me that right now, but I'll change the color space up to 709 and probably maybe put this on full. But listen, guys, this is like I said, this video is a little bit longer than I anticipated it being, but obviously, of course, there's a lot to go through. Obviously, setting up your sources and then also as well setting up your settings too. So there's a lot to compile into one. I'll put down some sort of like, you know, chapter so that you guys can see exactly what to go through if you want to click on specific items here. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about anything, please leave a comment. Like I said, you can also hop in my Discord. I also stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I'm happy to answer any questions there too as well. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Hopefully this video was helpful for you, and be blessed and be safe, guys.